There's nothing more embarrassing for me to tell you can't have a cell phone in class and have mine go off and go to class. So, yeah. But anyway, this consists of about 1 million transistors put together. Now here's the catch. If you put together another one just like this one, I mean within reasonable parameters, the other one will do the same thing this one does. I say, what's the big deal about that? It shows that the people who put this together believe there's some kind of regularity and order in the universe. If you put together a second car the same way you put together the first car, your second car will do the same thing the first one does. Regularity. The ancients did not understand this regularity. Now, for instance, the ancients would bake their cakes, but they didn't have ovens as good as ours, so they'd put a cake in and hope it turned out okay. Now, we make Hostess Twinkies. I mean, Hostess makes Twinkies cakes, and they put them into the oven, set at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, and they time it. They watch the temperature gauge, and they watch the ingredients put in, and all the Hostess Twinkie cakes will come out turning out the same way every time. Regularity and order. Polytheistic people, I mean, if you believe that nature is God, like polytheistic people do, you'll never be able to develop a technology because nature would have a mind of its own. If the river wanted to swell up and overflow its banks, it would just swell up and overflow. They didn't realize, no, in order for the river to overflow, there has to be a rainstorm somewhere far upstream. No, the river just got angry and swelled up and overflowed its banks today. Now, if for some reason you go outside and try to start your car and it won't start, and you try to perform some religious ceremony to get it to start, people might think you're nuts. And justifiably so. If your car doesn't start because it has some kind of mechanical defect that needs a mechanic, and when they get the problem figured out and solved, it will start. Yes, it will. But again, it's because we believe there's a certain type of regularity and order in the universe, that nature is not God, that nature does not have a mind of its own. Therefore, there's regularity and order, and this has enabled us to build the technological society we have today. Believe that nature is God. Nature then has a mind of its own. Yes?
When you were talking about the how Saturn was their god.
Yes, Saturn is a god.
How did they see Saturn? Because, I mean,
Well, Saturn, in the case of Saturn, you can see it with an unaided eye. Now, all right, I'm glad you brought it up. Now, are you saying that some of the planets can't be seen?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's
All
some
right,
that
now,
you can't.
here's the catch-22. Mercury can be seen. Venus can be seen. Oh, Venus is bright. Mars is one of the brighter stars. It can be seen. The moon can be seen. The sun can be seen. Jupiter is the next brightest of Venus. It can be seen. Saturn is a slow. I mean, the Greeks believed Saturn was an old man because he moved across the heavens very slowly. Okay, that was planets that they supposedly knew. They could see them. Now, it has been said by more than one scholar that the Sumerians knew about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and other planets that are beyond those that we have not seen. If that be true, folk, they had some means of observing them. As for Saturn, again, that can be seen. But now standard scholarship says, oh no, they only knew about the 5 innermost planets and didn't know that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto existed. But the Sumerians do have obelisks or discs that tend to show. Or again, it's subject to interpretation. How they know it, they're more advanced than we give them credit for. Gilgamesh. Story of Gilgamesh is a story about a person who was 2/3 God, 1/3 mortal, but because he was 1/3 mortal, he knew he had to die. Make a long story short, when his friend Enkidu died, oh, he was terribly upset, so he went off to look for the survivor of the flood, found a survivor of the flood, and the survivor told him his story, which was the Babylonian flood story. Gilgamesh just more or less gave up and realized, well, I will never find immortality. Gave in, and eventually died. And again, probably most of you have read about Gilgamesh in your in your stories. Gilgamesh does appear on the Sumerian king list as a king of Uruk, and supposedly he lived 120 years. And I want to state this. Well, actually, he was king for 120 years. He lived longer than that. All of the ancients believed that early man lived long, long lives, including the Bible, by the way. All the ancient records. The people of India have stories about it. And then, according to stories after the flood, human life was gradually shortened to the length of time that we find today. When Gilgamesh died, he was followed on the throne by a mortal. Supposedly Gilgamesh was one of the last of the god kings. And then he was followed by a mortal on the throne. His son only was king for 30 years. All right.